This is the Construction Leading Edge podcast from constructionleadingedge.com and buildermasterclass.com. My name is Todd DeWalt, and it's my job to help you eliminate chaos and maximize profits on your job sites and in your business. I've got a great discussion here for you, great episode. I sat down with Jeremy Ashmeyer, Senior Superintendent, and Derek Tappan, Assistant Superintendent with Willmeng Construction. And these guys are running a massive project in Texas right now. They couldn't tell us the name, but you'll probably be able to figure out who it is. Here's what you're going to get out of this construction podcast episode. You're going to learn some of the unique challenges involved with running a project that is over 1 million square feet on a site that is 125 acres. You'll learn how to get people to fill out daily reports. Some of the tools that these two superintendents from Willmeng Construction are using to keep up with hundreds of employees on an absolutely massive project. They'll talk about how they're using FieldChat and ProCore to really revolutionize their operation, the impact it's having on safety, the flow of information, and the broad impact that it's having on their lives. You'll even hear about a few ingenious ways that they're using QR codes that you might be able to use on your job sites. You'll learn some tips for getting people on board with either adopting new technology or getting on board with a new process. And then we spend a few minutes talking about some of the common misconceptions about being a construction superintendent. And you'll hear what Jeremy and Derek would tell you that it's all about from their seat. This was a great conversation, a lot of cool stuff that they're doing. And these guys are really good. You're going to learn a lot from them. Couple of resources that I want to talk to you about first before we get into that. Number one is I'm putting together a masterclass on the financial side of the business, and I need your help. If you want to get better at the financial side of owning or running a construction business, I need your help. I'm putting together this masterclass, and I need to make sure I cover everything that needs to be in there. If you could take a few minutes, like 2 to 3 minutes, take a quick survey for me and go to buildermasterclass.com/CFO, buildermasterclass.com/CFO. Take that quick survey. I plan on rolling this masterclass out in April of 2021, but I need your help. I want to make sure it is as valuable as possible and answers all the questions that you have. So if you could go to buildermasterclass.com/CFO, maybe want to hit pause right now and do it. It'll only take you about 2 minutes. That would be fantastic. And then I have a word from one of my sponsors before we get into the interview. All right, let's talk about a form of chaos I know you've experienced before, a bad customer review. Did you know it only takes one negative review to stop a potential job in its tracks? Your reputation takes years to build. Don't let one review change that. From Yelp to Google to Facebook, GoSite helps you manage and generate reviews all in one easy-to-use place. Research shows your customers need to see at least 30 positive reviews in order to trust your brand, and top-ranking businesses on Google have an average of 40 reviews. So, a job well done and a happy customer aren't just revenue, they're marketing opportunities. GoSite makes it easy to build your credibility and authority as a construction leader by automatically asking your already happy customers for a new review with just one click. Take control of your customer reviews and turn your 5-star success into more revenue with GoSite's easy-to-use mobile app. Get started for free at gosite.com/podcast. That's GOSITE.com/podcast. All right, let's jump into my conversation with Jeremy Ashmeyer and Derek Tappan of Willmeng Construction. And you'll even hear from Tori Glendening, the CEO of FieldChat. Enjoy. Okay, so before we dive into today's topic, which is going to involve a panel discussion, I want to introduce the guys we have on as guests who are here to talk about their journey. We're going to talk about the project, pretty interesting project that they're working on, some of the specific challenges that come with a project of this size and scale, and then the technology that's helping them solve a lot of the problems specific to that project, but also across the board. So First of all, we have Derek. Well, we have a couple of guys from Willmeng Construction, and I'll just give a brief intro. Looks like, according to your website, Willmeng's been in business for about 43 years, big general contractor. You guys are in the Southwest. You do office buildings, industrial, education, retail, aviation. And you can tell us a little bit more about your company. But we have Derek Tappan and Jeremy Ashmeyer. Derek, give us a quick intro of your role and how long you've been with Willmeng.
Okay, thanks for having us on, Todd. So my role with Willmeng, I've been with the company for just over a year now. And my role at the company is assistant superintendent. This is my second job working with Jeremy now, and we've kind of got along and gotten our own roles together where really helping out with field coordination and daily logs and monitoring the safety of the job and working together to work with the subs and complete these projects.
Gotcha. And then we have Jeremy Ashmeyer. Jeremy, give us a little bit of an intro on what your role is.
Sure. For this project, and since I've been with Willmeng, I'm a senior superintendent. So my daily activities are really just kind of the glue for the project, and making sure documents are coming out in a timely fashion, and any of the challenges that the guys need help with on site. And so been with Willmeng for 3 years now, originally from the Midwest, been a superintendent for 20 plus years now, and enjoyed working with Willmeng. Great company, like you said, out of the Southwest. We're starting to venture out into the rest of the country, and currently we're on a project in Texas. Derek and I worked on a couple other projects like he had mentioned, and we are in the great state of Texas today.
Yeah, and we'll get into that project some more in just a few moments. And our third panelist is Tori Glendenning. Tori, give us a little intro about yourself.
Perfect. Thanks, Todd. So great to be here. So I'm the CEO of a company called FieldChat. We make construction field operations software. And the company's been around since 2018, and really with the purpose of trying to dramatically simplify communication and data collection for people that are trying to manage construction projects. That's what the business does.
Yeah, definitely a big challenge. That's one of the biggest challenges I've seen is brokering information, getting the right information to the right people at the right time, at the right level of detail. So I appreciate you guys being on here. Jeremy, give us a quick rundown on this little project that you're working on there in Texas. Yeah. Tell us about how big it is, how long it's going to take, how many employees are on it, that kind of stuff.
You got it. So we're working for a client. They are North America's largest online marketplace and distribution company. They're building all over the country and North America. So this project is in Amarillo, Texas, and we're just on the outside of the city limits, near the airport. Our project has a 1.1 million square foot footprint with a 300,000 square foot mezzanine, and the site is about 125 acres. So on this project, we've got a subcontractor base that comes really from all over the country. It's large projects like this really bring the A players out there. So we've contracted them because of their experience from all across the states, and got a great team on site.
Ballpark, what's the value of this project?
Currently, we're at about 128 million. And likely that'll change slightly, but that's our target is not much more than 135.
Yeah, and how many people are on the job site on a daily basis right now?
Yeah, currently we're about 150 employees. what'll happen at the peak of this project will be 500 to 600 plus. So.
And what stage of the project are you in right now?
So currently we're in the foundations and underground MEPs. Site mass excavations are happening now. So a lot of moving parts out here now, a lot of equipment on site. Within the next 60 days, we'll have the building stood, tilt panels up in the air, and structural steel be going on.
And are you using tilt-up panels that are cast there on site, or are they precast panels trucked in from offsite?
Yeah, they're concrete tilt panels, all sorts of different thicknesses and sizes, but roughly, 10-inch panels, 50 to 55 foot tall, and we are casting them on site.
Gotcha. What are some of the biggest material lead time challenges you're dealing with right now? Because supply chain is a big issue. It seems like the supply chain got really messed up when COVID hit and hasn't recovered. But what are some of the biggest material challenges you're having, if any?
Yeah, no, great question, and very fitting. So the immediate challenge we're having is we are working in Texas, and with the freeze that we just had, this 100-year storm, the temperatures were so low, we were 25, 30 below for several days and almost a week. And they had bursted pipes all across the state. So anything plumbing related, PVC, PEX, any of the typical things that these guys are using, we're really having some challenges getting those immediately. A problem that we've had since COVID started is PVC conduit. Any of those products have been challenging. The door frames are an immediate one that we're having some struggles with. Steel, really, just about all things construction related have been really tough. So what it's forced our team to do is to really be ahead of these things and getting the submittals out there and get these things approved as quickly as we can. So we're being very proactive these days.
What's the lead time for like bar joist and metal decking right now?
Yeah, so we ordered this in the end of December for a delivery and installed start date of April 26th. So we're almost 5 months to start to finish the process. So.
Yeah. What about manpower? Are you struggling? Are your subs struggling, having any issues getting enough people on site to do the work?
Yeah. No, it is a challenge. This project, little unique only because of the size of it, and our subcontractor base is, from all over the country. So they're very well prepared for this project in particular. Other projects, previous to this, you're absolutely right, though. The manpower challenges are very great in the Southwest, all across the country, as far as I know. But Southwest, we're really struggling with qualified, people on site.
Yeah. What are some of the biggest challenges you're dealing with just due to the size of this project, the geography that it covers, 1.1 million square feet, 100 plus acre job site? Like what are some of the challenges that are unique to a project that big?
Yeah, I've done quite a few projects that are extremely large like this, and it's always the same challenges, and logistics. Logistics are the biggest challenge on these large projects. For example, the amount of restroom facilities you have to have for this many people, and the upkeep and the constantly moving them around, and making sure that they're clean and safe for the guys to use. One of those things you'd really overlook on a smaller project when you've got 15 people on site. So that's a big challenge. Parking is an extremely a hard thing to nail down. On this project, with little foresight, we understood how many vehicles would be here. So we have a whole 10 acres that we're using as a laydown area and a parking. All the materials for the project. I wish I had some pictures to show you, but the amount of storm pipe and underground utilities that getting this material, again, going back to your last question with procurement issues, we ordered this stuff immediately. So we had it on site. So now we have to store it. So we have about 5 acres of materials that are going to be buried underneath the ground. We have them here now. So logistics is challenging when you have that many people. Always a problem that we have when you have several hundred people on site. You start to get into safety challenges that you might not have dealt with on a smaller project. For example, somebody's going to have a heart attack, somebody's going to have a stroke, somebody's going to get hurt on the project. There's very good chance that that's going to happen. Somebody's allergic to peanuts or they got stung by a bee. Those things happen when you have this many people. So being prepared for it is something that you really have to put a lot of effort in.
Yeah. One last question. On a smaller project, say it's a 10,000 square foot footprint of a building pad maintenance isn't that big of a deal. But when you have 1 million square feet of building pad and maintenance, if it's not maintained, that can get huge. So what's your number one tip for building pad maintenance?
That's a great question. And the only way you could have ever known that is by experiencing it. So great question. So in the Midwest, I used to build in the Midwest a lot. We would, on the smaller projects, you would put a crown to your building pad. So all the water, runoff, snow, et cetera, would, just exit, by default. When you have 1 million plus square foot building pad, it's just not possible to put 1/8 of an inch, a foot of fall from the center of the building. You're talking feet. And now you'd have to have someone come back in and remove that material when you're ready for grading and slab prep. So our approach on this project is we have a crew on standby, ready to maintain that site as necessary, remove materials, add materials. Access roads and things like that are very important on a project this size. So we have some stabilized roads that lead you to basically the footprint of the building, so we can get them from parking area to their laydown areas to the building pad. And once they're on the building pad, we have a crew that is maintaining access paths to each area.
Yeah, I learned that the hard way. When you start getting 6-figure change orders for building pad maintenance, you think, okay, we have to take a look at this. Yeah, 1 million square feet of dead flat subgrade with column footings that like to hold water. It's not a good. If it's not managed, it becomes very expensive and causes some real problems down the road. Okay, so we're talking about managing projects, managing information. I'm curious for both of Jeremy and Derek, you guys can take this whoever wants to go first, but can you talk about the evolution of how you've managed projects now versus 5 years ago?
Yeah, good question, Todd. I think the most important thing when you come to these projects or any project is the correct set of documents. I can't tell you how many times 5 years ago someone shows up to the wrong job site and they have an old set of drawings. You'd have to take a picture, call someone from your office, take a picture of it, text it to your phone, and you're zooming in on details and really wasting time and not efficient. Where fast forward to today, we're managing projects. Every superintendent, every foreman out there has an iPad, and every day, every week, you refresh your drawings, you get your marked up, you get your RFIs, you get submittals, everything's on the drawings. Any change is acquired for, so there's really no excuse to not being able to do a construct from the correct set of documents. I think that's just one big change right away from 5 years ago to today.
What about you, Jeremy?
Yeah, no, Derek hit it right on the head. Document control is 100% the right answer here. Document control, things moves so quickly now compared to when I started my career. The demands of the client have changed in a way to where you really don't have the amount of time you need. So now we're forced to be really creative of how we build, and it is out of sequence generally compared to the old ways of doing things. So with that being said, you really have to have current information right at your fingertips, or else you're really not going to have a lot of success. So another big change for me is the safety end of it. So all the documentation that you need to have on site to make sure everybody's staying safe. It really has changed. The safety industry has came down on our industry tenfold, and it's serious now. The repercussions you could have if you're not prepared, OSHA and the likes. So that's a really big one that's changed. Having all of that information at your fingertips, it really has helped. I think it is keeping the job sites safe.
So you guys are superintendents, and I have a lot of respect for your job. You guys are like tip of the spear. It doesn't matter how good the estimating department is, how good the project manager is. Everything can be set up, but you guys are really driving the projects. And I think there are a lot of misconceptions about what a commercial superintendent does. So Jeremy, I'll let you ask or answer this question. And Derek, I've got a follow-up question for you. But Jeremy, what are some of the biggest misconceptions people have about what a commercial superintendent does?
That's another great question. Talking with some family members about what I do, and then actually dragging them to one of my construction sites, it was amazing the response I got from them. They had no idea, right? They only know what they think that we do, or what they see on TV, or what they've heard from their friends. So the common misconception is that anyone can do this. This is just something that you really didn't make some good choices, and you ended up out in the field here. And I would challenge anyone that thinks that to spend a day in the life of our superintendents. On this project, we have 5 total, and I'm going to tell you, these guys work harder than anybody I've ever met, and these guys are sharp. They're out there getting dirty, and they're out there leading hundreds of people, putting them in the right direction. So there's a lot of misconceptions to what we do, and I think that it's one of the really underestimated careers out there. And we're managing a site of hundreds of millions of dollars with hundreds of people. There's a lot of risk there, and the public, they really don't understand it. And I'm hopeful that the newer generation that they see the value in going down the superintendent road, because the industry is in real trouble if we don't get the next generation to buy in.
Absolutely. So Derek, here's my follow-up question for you. What are the most, like, 1 or 2 most important things for your job? Like, what are the things that are most important for you? If you're doing these couple of things, then you're really hitting what's most important.
Most important thing, I'd say, first off, understanding exactly what we're doing at that time, understanding the drawings, looking into the fine details. Anyone can overlook a drawing. We have guys that have been doing this 5 times longer than I have, and they'll ask me for a question, and I'll be scared knowing that they know more than me. But then when you sit down and you look at it, and it's the second note on the page that says what to do. So I think attention to detail and taking the time to look over the plans and the details. You could be the most experienced person out there, but if you don't understand the details, it can only get you so far. So that brings whenever I come across a challenge, I'll make sure I go back and review the plans and try and stay ahead of it.
Yeah. So that brings up an interesting point. I remember dealing with the same thing early on in my career. right out of school and I'm supposed to be leading these guys who've been doing it for 20 plus years. What's your number one tip for helping to lead trade partners and subcontractors who've been doing this a lot longer than you?
For me, again, as a younger guy, I think listening to what they say, more times than not, people won't listen to the younger guy that they know more than. So I think treating everyone with respect, understanding what situation they're in, why they're in that situation, and then trying to figure out the best solution that'll help everyone out, that won't cost some sub a certain amount of money, or making sure that it's the right answer for everyone, and it helps the job, but it also helps the subcontractors as well. So I think understanding the situation and really just treating everyone the same.
Yep. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. So we're talking about technology. And the first question related to technology is, how do you measure success when it comes to technology? If we're going to use technology, we want it to do something. We're going to have some measuring stick we use to determine success. So what is that measuring stick for you guys?
Yeah, so I think that there's a couple of answers we'd like to give here. I think the part one of that answer, the measurement of success, would be safety. And again, going back to, we talked earlier, we got to get everybody home safe to their families every day. And that is our responsibility. And there's a lot of responsibility for the individual, but we have to lay the groundwork for a successful, safe project. And, I can't emphasize it enough. The technology that we have now is so superior to what we ever had before. We have real-time communication with our subcontractors because of the tools like FieldChat, and we can really identify a problem before somebody gets hurt, and it takes the whole project. So, for example, we have one of the apps on FieldChat that we use is a safety channel. Tori and his team helped us set this up, and what that looks like for us, every one of the Willmeng superintendents are on this. It's a group text message essentially, and it lives in a channel through FieldChat and then is integrated into ProCore. So what this looks like for us is any of the foremans and superintendents, they're all on this channel together with us. And if they see a safety violation while they're out there working, they've got a trench that looks unsafe or a rebar cap has fell off, they snap a picture of this and it goes to everybody in real time. And immediately somebody is going to take care of that violation. Again, on a site this big, it could take minutes to get to where you need to be to solve that safety violation. So right now, the person responsible for it has immediate a view of it essentially. And then the real great thing about this too is now that's recorded into ProCore. It is fact, it's time stamped. This happened. It's obvious who the violation was, and if they didn't handle it correctly, and it keeps happening, it kind of paints a picture of the history with that subcontractor. So I think Derek has kind of part two to this.
Yeah, so going off the two most important parts of the job for us is safety and completing the job on time. And for us, we always try and beat our own schedule. The good thing with apps like ProCore and FieldChat is all the safety documentation that we require. It's uploaded to our ProCore immediately through FieldChat. We have channels set up for safety, but then we also have daily logs set up for safety as well. So we can have guys out from the field upload their safety with just a push of a button. So we're not chasing them. Traditionally, we have to print out a form, run it out to them. They sign it. We run it back. We upload it. That could cost us, an hour in a couple situations. So beating the schedule, we use that, and also communication where we could spend half of the day trying to answer a question for someone, that finding the person that has the answer. But with these channels that we set up, they answer the question. Every player involved gets that question. Whoever knows the answer puts it right away. So rather than wasting half a day trying to find the answer, it's all in one spot. And really, we can save half a day with communication and uploading documents that we didn't have that time before.
Gotcha. So daily logs, safety issues. What else are you guys using FieldChat for? Have you figured out any other interesting uses for it?
Yeah. Derek has worked with Tori a lot more than I have, and so far we have one great thing that they've done is Derek's printed off. Everything lives off a QR code for us. A lot of the features on FieldChat do. So, for example, safety orientation, right? We give a 8.5 by 11 laminated copy to all of our subcontractors, and it has several QR codes on there. Each one of those QR codes takes you to a different format. And one example is a safety orientation. Derek and Tori have built a orientation that Willmeng would typically give on site in our trailer to, twice a week to all the employees. Well, now they don't even have to come to our trailer. The guys have made a nice PowerPoint presentation. It has all of the project information, nearest hospital, all of our safety rules, safety permits. Everything's bundled up into one thing. They don't even have to see us now. Not that we don't want to see them, but in the age of COVID and things like that, it's just before they come to the job site, they've already been through our orientation and it's documented, and it goes back into ProCore that this person received the orientation on this date, and it is time stamped and it's done. So that's one of them. Toolbox Talks, this is another one. It's a QR code. We provided we gave for this project, I think 52 different Toolbox Talks they could use. Most companies have their own, but if they don't, we've already done the work for them. So now they have to send that to us, whatever we ask them to, once, twice a week. Here we're doing once a week. And if they don't do it, we can set up notifications for them. And if they forget to do it, which happens because everybody's so busy, it's an automatic reminder for them. Job hazard assessment logs, hot work permit, trenching, all of these things have their own QR code. So if a guy's out there welding, all he has to do is pick up this paper, open his camera up, and it takes him right to where he needs to go, and he can fill out this form in, I would say, seconds, if not minutes, and that log goes to us immediately without us doing anything. The upfront work that we do is where the work's at, and after it's done, it's documented in history. So one good example I really like to give with these QR codes are roof access. So putting guys on a roof is extremely dangerous, and of course, if they fall, likely they're going to be really seriously injured or even worse. So a liability standpoint from a general contractor is something that we really look at. And what we're going to do on this project is the stair tower will lead the guys to the roof. Once they get there, there's a huge QR code. It's going to be 4 foot by 4 foot. You can't miss this thing. They open their camera, and it takes them right to the roof access permit, and they fill out a couple of questions, and they go on with their day. They go to lunch, and they come back up, they do it again. Two things that happen there for the GC's benefit is now it's documented that, that they've done the training they need. If something were to happen and they didn't do their part, it just shows negligence there on their part. Also, one thing we've discovered is, for example, the daily log, right? We have 20 employees and they're all roofers. They're all going to be on the roof, 20 guys. We only have 18 of them. It'll send us a notification of how many people have done the roof access permit. So if you have 20 roofers and only 18 of them have signed in, into that roof access, we have a problem. It is clear as day, and it's all, again, going back into ProCore. It's documented. So it's we call Tori's app, we've changed the name, but he doesn't know this. We call it the accountability app, and it makes the subcontractors accountable. The daily log is probably my favorite, and what that looks like for us is our superintendents are doing a daily log every day, and there's so many people on the site to give an accurate daily log. It takes a lot of time. I mean, we attach pictures to each one of the subcontractors. We have a very good description of what they're doing exactly, a count of manpower. Well, with the FieldChat app, they're doing their own daily logs, and they're automatically coming to us. So essentially, they've done a lot of our work for us. And manpower is a hard one. You have 400 people on the job every day. You're not going to go out there and count every one of them. You know, it's impossible to have that kind of time. So we're making them accountable for their own their daily logs, essentially. So that's coming back to us. And the documentation that we have now since using this app is just unbelievable. It really is. If anybody 5 years from now had to look at our project through ProCore, they would see all of our daily logs and all of these COVID screenings and all of these things that we're using with FieldChat. It paints a picture of what happened out there. It's very descriptive, and God forbid you ever end up in litigation because of a project, whatever happened, that got you there. Somebody else, the attorneys, they really have a lot more information to view than the old pencil and paper technique.
Yeah, I love that idea. I love the QR codes. I love the idea of making everybody accountable for their own information, pushing that stuff out. I'm a big fan of pushing accountability and decision-making and resources to the people closest to the problem. And then you do it. You do your daily logs. You do your own timesheets. You request what you need instead of running it up the old centralized command type approach, which is you tell your boss, they tell their boss, they tell their boss, and then it comes back down. That just doesn't work. Just doesn't work.
So speaking of that, Todd, to kind of add to that point, here's a really cool one. So for example, your daily report, we can change what time that's due. Say 5 o'clock at night, we say that every subcontractor has to have that in. If they don't, they're going to get a notification. And then 1 hour from there, we can change the time, which is great. They're going to get a second notification. If we still haven't gotten it, the third notification, we can have that go to their boss if we'd like. We put his phone number in there. He's going to get a notification that his team's had two warnings to do their daily report, and now they have to answer to him, not us, right? So that usually changes, people and their accountability really quickly. So one thing for us to threaten them, or we don't have the power, we don't sign their paycheck. So accountability is the name of the game here.
Yeah, I love the fact that you guys don't have to manually do this. You have this automated remembering system and an automated reminder system. You set it up once, and then the machine, FieldChat, it's doing all the remembering and all the tracking. And I really love the QR codes, the 4x4 QR code at the top of the stair tower. It's kind of hard to say, Jeremy, I didn't see it, Maybe you actually put a hatch that they have to climb through the QR code.
That'd be the next thing. And all of this stuff is mentioned in their orientation too. So it starts from before you even step foot on the project. We've taken all of the excuses away from them. I promise you that they've heard the same thing several times before they even step foot on the project. So to your point, for them to say that they didn't know or they didn't see it or whatever, it's an excuse they can't use. And it really it holds up for us if there was an accident or something happened, it's just backup for our team. So
yeah, great stuff. No, I love it. So the next question I was going to ask is, what technology are you using? But it sounds like ProCore is the project management platform you're working with, and you're using FieldChat. Talk a little bit about the technology, the interaction between ProCore and FieldChat, and then why you use that technology stack.
Yeah, so ProCore is in the industry. They're right up there. It's questionably, in my opinion, it's top two. So ProCore is across the board. Subcontractors, the big guys, they use it. They have it already. They understand it. It's very user friendly. It's really is simple to get and navigate through their system. What Tori and his team at FieldChat have done is they've integrated FieldChat into ProCore, and I believe, Tori, this goes for Plan Grid and some of the other types as well.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah. So it's just that simple. They've taken and done all the hard work for us. So what we refer to it here, FieldChat, is an app or an add-on or add-in to ProCore, one of the many types that you can use. Tori has seen the value in the document control and just the communication tool portion of it and the accountability portion. So he's integrated in there very nicely. I mean, he saw an industry challenge and he certainly solved the problem. So Derek has been working a lot more directly with Tori. So I think his input is very valuable here.
Yeah. So to your question, we use ProCore. Our office likes us to use ProCore because everything that we do here, they can view it from the office. They can see what's going on. So we put all our daily logs in there, our documents, so it's all in one spot. And that's the cool thing of FieldChat is it makes it easier to go from the field to our ProCore, which then gets viewed in the office. So it really kind of streamlines the process. So the fastest way it gets from the field to our office is by using both those platforms.
Gotcha. And we've talked about some of the most critical information that you're gathering on a daily basis, on an as-needed basis, and a weekly basis, daily logs, JHAs, your confined space entry, trenching, hot work, roof access, things like that. Clearly, that's huge. But how did you go about collecting that information, if at all? Let's talk about daily logs. That's a big deal, and I want to talk about that a little bit. But what did your daily log process look like before you started using FieldChat?
Yeah. So ProCore has a format set up for a daily log. And before FieldChat, I would say ProCore was probably the best that I've seen in the industry as far as being user friendly. But they're all really the same. It's just blanket. You have to manually input that information. It is integrated with your iPads and your smartphones now, to where you can use the app in the field. So it's integrated there. One of the things that we did to try to make it as efficient as possible, we would actually, hit the talk button into the comment section. So you're talking to type essentially. So you're really, as you're driving or walking around the site and you see things, you can quickly get it into the daily report. Or what we've all done is, you get back at the end of the day and you have to do your daily report. Now you're trying to remember what's happened. Where FieldChat, I think the big difference for me is, again, you're holding the subcontractor accountable to do the daily report. And when you see theirs come through, not always is it very detailed, but it does spark a memory throughout the day. You saw them doing what they had just mentioned, then you can add to it. So we can actually edit their daily report and continue typing past what they have, or you can make your own new entry for that subcontractor. So I think that's the biggest benefit to it. And all of the safety dialogue is coming throughout the day, and you don't have to touch it. It's done. So before, you're taking pictures and collecting papers throughout the site, and then at the end of the day, when you're at the least time, you want to go home and you want to carry on, and now you have to shuffle all these papers, and you have to try to remember what happened. And you can simply with this, I would say 85% of it's done without you doing anything. So that's the value to me.
Yeah, definitely. So let's talk about daily reports. I can't tell you any contractor I've worked with or coached or trained or whatever, where they would say, you know what, we don't have any problems with daily logs. Our guys love doing daily logs. They do them consistently, and they're just rocking it. That seems to be a real challenge. What advice, other than getting some technology in place that makes it simpler, like what's the problem with getting? Why do guys get hung up on doing daily logs? What's the real problem that needs to be addressed there?
Yeah, great question. I would say immediately lack of time. Superintendent is running all day long, and with the amount of tasks that we're responsible for every day, it is hard. And a lot of times in our minds, we put that as not a priority when safety and schedule and those types of things are our top priority. And after a 12 or 14-hour day, your daily report doesn't become as big of a priority as everything else that's happened. Our phones are ringing nonstop, and the emails and responding back to people, that's the priority for us. And if you ask our bosses the priority, they would probably tell you that the daily report is the priority, because when you find yourself in a courtroom or having a real problem with the owner, design team, or et cetera, now you have to look back in your daily report. So that's where the value in the daily report is years later, or at the end of the project when you have to prove an event that happened or didn't happen. So daily report, it is tough. And we have been desperately looking for a solution to this exact problem. And FieldChat was the immediate answer. Just for the daily reports, having FieldChat is the answer. It is the answer. And then everything else that you can do now with these QR codes, and Tori and his team are extremely helpful, of inputting data and things in there you can change this app. I think our team has discovered that we have only scratched the surface of FieldChat. I think there's going to be so many more uses for this. And anything QR code related, I think is big. What that does is it takes the generation that's the kind of thing that they're used to and they like, and it brings that generation into the construction field, which we desperately need. So technology has to be integrated into what we do. We drug our feet for a long time, but here we are, and FieldChat's the answer.
That's good stuff. I think back to the daily report issue, it's a perception issue where the superintendents and the people in the field, they think that their perception is what's most important to get the work done. And they don't understand why it's so important to do daily logs. Like I had a carpenter foreman that worked for me that told a story about how he helped one of his guys stay out of jail because of his daily log. He showed that Steve, or whatever his name was on the job site at this time, and he was arrested for allegedly being somewhere else. And thanks to Lee's daily report, Steve stayed out of jail. So hopefully that doesn't happen very often. But I think you're right, that perception issue that, well, it's the most important thing is for me to get the work done. But the information is just as important, because once today's gone, that information fades away really fast. And it's critical for somebody to be logging that information. So good.
I can give a good example of exactly what you're saying. Project that I did, it was, I think about 9 years ago. It was a turnpike project and a lot of concrete work that we were doing. And for whatever reason, that day I took some really great pictures and I entered them into my daily log. And what turns out, it was a good idea, because I had captured all of our contractor had rebar and concrete stakes everywhere, and I captured all of these areas that had rebar caps on it. Well, that night, one of the workers for the turnpike had fell and claimed there was no caps on that rebar, and got hurt pretty badly, and of course ended up in court over all of this. Well, turns out my daily report is the thing that saved us, and those pictures, and it was attached. And again, for whatever reason, I was very thorough that day, thankfully, but that needs to be every day, because the daily report doesn't help you if the job is successful. It only helps you when things go wrong, and things are going to go wrong. So to your point, it's one of the most important tools that nobody does correctly.
Yeah, those pictures. And I would say if you had to pick one or the other, either a text, a daily report, or just take a bunch of pictures of the site, I would say take pictures, because you can go recreate text, but you cannot go recreate a time-stamped picture. And I've had the same thing happen. I had a $150,000 change order that I was able to refute because of my series of reports that had pictures that showed exactly what was going on. And you can't go back and recreate that stuff. Yep.
Derek's taken the picture taking to a whole nother level with even within ProCore, and he's taken the daily report, and each individual subcontractor, at the end of the day, he'll attach pictures exactly what they were doing, so it matches the description that's been typed in the comments, right? That drywall contractor was installing steel studs on this floor and this quantity, and then he has pictures to back it up. I mean, it's just about as clear of a picture as you could paint for someone that a year later. So
yep, definitely. All right. Well, obviously the technology has been very successful for you guys. One of the hurdles people have when they consider, or they've even invested in technology, is getting people to actually use it. So what are your top 1 or 2 tips for getting people in the field to actually implement software?
So, just starting this project in FieldChat, we integrated immediately. So it was from day one, the precedent was set, right? The guys walk on site and they know they have to do this. We've made it crystal clear that this is what we're doing, and if you don't do it, then there's going to be a real problem. So with that being said, we've got some of the guys out here that are 60 years old, so that's where the challenge comes in. FieldChat makes that so simple. Everybody's phone has a camera, and it's that simple. You open the camera and it does the rest for you. And so that's probably the biggest hurdle there, I think, is just getting everybody to buy in. So from day one for us, making it mandatory, this is what we're doing, and we've had great success here. So with all ages, really, some of the older groups, they've actually, I would say, they've been the most thorough, honestly.
Yeah, and another point, Todd, is to Jeremy's point, the older people, the toughest thing is to get this stuff into our ProCore. FieldChat offers a way where you can send an app notification or a text message. So even if they don't have the app, they don't even have to really have a smartphone. It goes right to their phone. They get a text. They know what's going on. They're up to date. So you really don't need to be too technologically sound to use FieldChat to still be involved and really up to what we require out here.
Good stuff. All right. Last question I want to ask all 3 of you guys is this: how do you think technology will change the job site in the next 5 years? Derek, we'll start with you.
If I'm real honest, I saw a couple of videos where they had 3D printers that were building footings. So I don't know if that's 5 years away, but that's somewhere down the line. But I think as the younger generation comes in, everyone's more adapt to smartphones. Everyone's more adapt to computer. I think it's everything's going to be streamlined pretty quick, and there's going to be, especially with this coronavirus, with Zoom meetings, and there's going to be a lot less interaction face to face and a lot more online, and they could even have QR codes for materials and tools, so you can track all that stuff and really kind of streamline the process where you're not looking for stuff and you can't meet with someone today, so you have to do it tomorrow. It's, we can meet now on Zoom and really, I think maybe continuing of Zoom and QR codes and online platforms.
Yeah. What about you, Jeremy? What do you see happening? How do you think technology will change the job site in the next 5 years?
Yeah. I guess I'll piggyback off what Derek said. I think we'll just use the COVID-19, right? That changed our world. It certainly changed the job site. And My opinion is when that goes away, hopefully soon, and I think it's still here to stay, right? What's happened because of it, the Zoom meetings, right? The whole country all of a sudden now is asked to, the kids are going to school through a Zoom meeting, and everybody's changed. They're working from home. I think that's going to go into the construction industry. We've all found a way to do that, and the guys have to be here to build the buildings. We get that, but I think the interaction, the physical interaction is going to be less. I think it's unfortunate, but I think that's the way that we're going. So the QR codes and things like that, it's the information is going to be there for you, and I don't think the personal touch is going to be there as much. One thing that I think the tech is going to do, and I see it already happening on this project, the FieldChat has it's eliminated, we'll say, a field engineer for us. It's almost eliminated out of 5 superintendents and 4 or 5 people on the project management side. So we've got a team of 10. We've reduced at least 1 person, and I think there's opportunity to even greater that once we really understand the full potential of FieldChat. So that's one of the big things that I see. I think the pre-construction is going to benefit from this as well. Pre-construction is that information can be passed along so quickly, and I definitely see that being a use. And back to the COVID, I really use that as the central basis for this. Is everything's changed because of it, and I think it's going to continue to change. And this app has nailed it.
Good stuff. So speaking of the app, Tori, you've got a unique vantage point as the CEO of a construction technology company. I'll ask you that. How do you think technology will change the job site in the next 5 years? What do you see from where you're at?
Yeah, it's a really interesting question, and one that I think we at FieldChat happen to spend a disproportionate amount of time thinking about, because it's a bit of our job to try and figure out what the answer to that is and provide it to people. And where our view lands on this is really around this idea of access to information and quality of information that's coming out of the job site. And so rewind the clock a couple of years, or even, I don't know, if you walk on the average job site in the United States today, getting access to information is really challenging. Like, not only does it live on paper, but like software tools in general weren't typically built to be accessed and used in the field. And getting information in and out that we listed a lot of examples in this conversation where it's any of the safety documentation or production related information or daily reports, delivery slips, like whatever it happens to be, getting that information to people in the field who need it and then out in the field and documented so you can use it later was a real challenge. And so our view is that will become easier and easier and easier over time, to where access to the information is basically as seamless as it can possibly be. And not only do you have people in the field who can know anything about the job site at any period of time that they want, regardless of if they're sitting in front of a computer or not, but also to have different systems talking to each other so that people are always working off the same set of documents or pieces of information at all periods of time. And so that's kind of where we see our role playing in that, is really around this idea that at some point in the future, everyone on the job site will have access to whatever information they need, and the quality of data coming back out of the job site to make future estimating easier, or going back and reviewing what took place on job sites, like that should be very easy and should be very simple at some point in the future. So that's our answer, or at least our view today.
Yeah, good stuff. Definitely a big problem. Well, I think Jeremy and Derek have done a fantastic job of talking about FieldChat and what FieldChat means to their operation. So, Tori, I'll ask you, if folks want to find out more about how you can help them or just learn more about what you're up to, where's the best place for them to go?
Yeah, the best place would be our website at fieldchat.com, or just Google FieldChat. And there's a you can either chat with us there, request a demo, or even just sign up to the product and use it. It's quite easy to get going with it. So if anyone has any information, they can find us there.
Fantastic. Derek, Jeremy, Tori, this has been great stuff. I really appreciate you guys taking time out of your day to do this. It's been a good conversation, and keep up the good work. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Todd.
Thanks a lot.
There you go. Hope you got some good stuff out of that interview. Be sure to check out FieldChat over at fieldchat.com. You can check out Willmeng Construction, that is WILLMENG, and see what they are up to. And pick something out of this podcast episode that you want to implement, whether it's the tips on how to get people to fill out daily reports, maybe it's check out FieldChat, maybe it's figure out how to use a QR code generator and create QR codes for your job site, but do something with this. Implement something from this podcast episode. And don't forget, if you could take a couple of minutes and help me put together the best CFO masterclass possible that'll help you master the financial side of the business. If you could take 2 minutes, go to buildermasterclass.com/CFO and take that short survey. That would be tremendous. And as always, thank you so much for the ratings and the reviews. If you could take a moment, leave a rating and or a review on the podcast player of your choice, that would mean a lot to me. And as always, I appreciate you listening. My name is Todd DeWalt from buildermasterclass.com and constructionleadingedge.com. I'll see you next time. A happy customer isn't just revenue, it's a marketing opportunity. From Google to Yelp to Facebook, join the more than 30,000 small businesses already using GoSite to request, respond, and manage reviews, all from one easy-to-use dashboard. GoSite puts the power back in the hands of you, the construction business owner, with a mobile app that transforms how you run your business by making it easier for customers to find, book, pay, and review your services online. Get started for free